What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Realtor Success Podcast. My name is Jordan Brown at Jordan Sells ATX on Instagram. Be sure to give us a follow. Man, it has been a while. I have not done an episode since December. I apologize. Look, it's money-making season. It is time to focus on your clients. It is time to reap the benefit of the summer market. That's exactly what I've been doing, and getting plugged back in with my team. But you know what? We are heading out of that summer season here soon. And really what got me inspired to get back into these episodes is, one, I got a report that you guys are still watching, which is absolutely insane considering my inconsistencies. But thank you for watching and getting the value, hopefully, from these episodes. And I got inspired to make this episode because I was at a top producers panel. And this gentleman, who I have known since he has joined our group, it's been such an inspiration to watch his story. I mean, even just this last October, we were at a conference in Miami together, and just kind of knowing where he started, the market has been kind of unforgiving here lately. I know you guys are probably feeling that in your business. And this guy has had a crazy shift in his business. This is not an episode where you're going to hear from a 20-year agent who has this crazy track record or anything like that. I think it's really important that you tune in and listen to this guy's story because he stuck it out. This market, brutal for a lot of first-year agents, second-year agents, and this guy's getting it done. I think it's a story of perseverance. I think it's overcoming adversity and absolutely outworking everyone else around you. And one of the quotes that he said that I absolutely love is, he was listening to Alex Hormozy, and he said, "You have to work so hard that it would be unreasonable for you to not be successful." That really stuck with me, and I was like, I've got to get this guy on here. I would like to welcome to the Realtor Success Podcast, Mr. Reza Rostamnejad. What's going on, man? How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Jordan? It's
Good, brother.
It's a pleasure, honor to be on your podcast.
No, dude, I'm so excited to talk with you. And as you hopped on, I just noticed that we are the background bros with the slats here. So for anyone watching,
That's right.
No, dude, I'm so stoked. Man, you have such an inspirational story. I'm super excited to dive into it. What I'd like for people to get to know you a little bit, give me like the skinny on what got you to where you're at now, kind of what you did before real estate, what was the allure, and then maybe that reality of that first year.
Reality is still going, even year 4. But before real estate, I moved to Texas back in 2017 to go to UT for petroleum engineering. I started at ACC because I didn't want to pay out-of-state tuition, crazy $25,000 a semester. But I finally got transferred into UT for petroleum engineering. The acceptance rate, crazy number. It's like less than 1%. I got my degree after 2.5 years in UT with honors. I worked in Tyler, Texas, which is in East Texas. They have a lot of gas wells there. And I worked in West Texas in Midland, Odessa for a little bit. And then the shifts were just horrendous. I was working 3-4 weeks in a row, 12-hour shifts on, 12-hour shifts on call. So I was never, ever just off. And then I would come home for like 5 to 7 days and then fly back to wherever the drilling site was. Finally,
you're telling me that lifestyle wasn't sexy for you?
It was, I was in survival mode. I could not live like that. And, I was already in a relationship with my current wife that I didn't want anything to happen to that. That was obviously the most precious thing to me at the time and still today. She was in Austin working as a nurse. She is still working in Austin as a nurse. And I finally decided, okay, I have a good cushion of saving. I can just move back and maybe do my thing. But as an engineer, you can't just like jump in. You always have to like analyze a little bit. So I wanted to do real estate because all my family were civil engineer, and I just had this idea, okay, what if I just become a different kind of engineer? And that went horribly, obviously. But the closest thing to civil engineer are homes and houses and real estate. but I didn't want to go back to school and get another degree, and I didn't want to go down that route. So I found that commercial real estate appraisal is the closest thing in regards to real estate and like still being a little engineering. You still have to analyze, you have to have the right report. I did that for 6 months, and then just real estate decided to go down horribly. I was part of a team based in New York that was just hiring crazy in Texas, Florida, California. I think they grew their team like an addition 300 members in like 6 months. And then the downturn of real estate in 2022-3 happened. So they just cut back, laid off everyone. And then I was like, okay, well, I've just been outside of petroleum engineering for 6 months. So I can just go back. Or what if I just for once don't analyze and jump in head first? And that's exactly what I did. And that just went as bad as it could. I wish that I didn't sell anything in year one. Had that happened, I would just quit, go back to engineering, normal life, back to normal. Or I would have just sold a lot, make a lot of money, be successful, love what I'm doing, and then move on. Well, neither of those things happened. What happened was exactly the worst scenario possible at a time. Right now, I'm very content, happy, satisfied. I just sold enough to not make enough money and just hadn't failed enough for me to quit and go back to what I was doing. So I think it took me 6 months to sell my first home. Year one, I only sold 7 homes, but my split with the team was horrible. I think I only made $20,000, $16,000 to $20,000. Wow. I don't remember the exact number. And I just came from a petroleum engineering job that I was getting paid 6 figures. And I didn't know after year one. I gave myself a year to assess, okay, do I want to stay or do I want to move on? And that figures just made me more confused. Like with 7 sales in year one, really bad real estate year, and not making enough money, you don't know if was it good, was it bad, what do you want to do? So I stayed. I moved brokerage, obviously, and I started taking off a little bit. I think I made double, still not nearly as much as I was making before. And still, every year, real estate is getting worse and worse. The rates are just raising. People are buying less homes. They're resistant to moving. And then year 3, I think I finally got into a position that I could convince myself, okay, maybe I made it, maybe not. Well, this is like a real story, right? I was watching all these people on Instagram, and usually people are in 2 categories, right? You either hear success stories or failure stories. People that just say, oh my God, I became a real estate agent and I started making $500,000. I sold 1 home and I made like $35,000. Well, that didn't happen to me. I worked my butt off a whole year and I didn't make $35,000. And then you hear all the other side of the stories that they say, yeah, real estate sucks. It's not good. It's just it's shiny and everyone just act like they're successful, but they're not. And I was right in the middle and no one was telling my story. I just felt like I was very lonely down in the middle and everyone are at the end of the spectrum. So I just kept going. Obviously, as you move forward, you get a lot of good advices and bad advices. One of the worst advices I've got from my first brokerage back in 2022 was, Reza, social media does not work. Stop wasting your time on YouTube and Instagram.
Sorry to interrupt. Were they just more focused on the old school ways of doing business, like cold calls, door knocking, or what was their approach?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Buying PPC leads, doing ads on Google, or forced leads, like when you go on their website and they show you 4 pictures, and if you want to see the rest of the picture, you have to put your email and phone number. So you get the phone number and then you call them up. But the thing is, they never trash those phone numbers. They always like archive and recycle. So I was calling people that maybe registered on the brokerage's website 14 years ago.
Wow.
So they had like no idea who am I or why I'm calling. Um, they also didn't tell me like these leads are not fresh or new. Like that's something I figured out later on. But
You're
obviously
sitting
the
there
conversion.
wondering, you're getting enough phone calls where it's like the person is deceased or like doesn't live at that address for like the last decade, and you're going, man, there's got to be something better. There's got to be a better way
Yeah,
to do this.
and then I'm thinking, why are these people hanging up on me, and why are they like cussing? And it was like, you just registered. You wanted to see this home. I'm doing you a favor. Well, not really. Well, they registered 11 years ago. A little too late. Uh, um, but yeah, no one said. And at this moment, I'm like a fresh real estate agent. I have no idea. No one in my family were a real estate agent. I've never had a friend who was a real estate agent. So I thought this is the only way to do business. It was like when this successful broker tells me that this is the only way and social media doesn't work, so that must be the only way to do it. That is the only reason I stayed there for 11 months, keep doing what I was doing. And it went horribly. And then at the end of the year, as I said earlier, like I was in a place that I didn't know what to make of it. I couldn't just keep doing what I was doing because I was working like 14 hours a day. The only reason I left the oil and gas was because the shifts was crazy, and my shift in this brokerage was even crazier. I was the first person in the office 6 a.m. listening to my previous day's calls to see, okay, what did I do wrong so I can better my craft. And then I was the last person in the office to leave every single day for 11 months. And I could have worked in Walmart and I would have made more money working that many hours. But then later on, I joined the Zillow team, and that was obviously much better than calling people who registered or inquired 11 years ago. But still not good enough because I worked for 2 years and that went much better than my first brokerage. It was just enough for me to give me the confidence that, okay, real estate is my thing and this is a career I wanna be successful at. But the problem is, after 2 years, I was thinking with myself and I was like, I will never be independent. Like if this team leader or if this team tomorrow decides, Reza, you're not good enough, you're out. Well, I'm back to making nothing. Like none of these leads are mine. I don't have anything for me. I don't have a brand. I don't have, and I see these people. Obviously, I'm seeing like Sumin Kim on Instagram, and then I'm seeing Mike Sherrard on YouTube, and all these people that have a brand. And then there's always this echo of the voice of the first broker in my ear. The rest of social media does not work. It's like, if it doesn't work, then how does it work for these people? Why would it not work for me? Or are they assuming lying? Like, is his social media
There's no way he's selling that much.
Is his social media just a display? He's finding his leads from somewhere else. Is that what's happening? It was like, the only way I can figure out is to call Sumin. That's what I'm going to do. So after 2 years, after figuring out, okay, this can't just go on forever. What if I make a good relationship? Which I had a great relationship with my team leader of the Zillow team. But what if Zillow cut my team out? Like, what if the relationship between me and my team leader, nothing happens to that? What if Zillow just tomorrow decides, you know what, you guys are not good enough, I'm just cutting you out? What are we going to do? Like, go back to door knocking and calling 250 people a day? Definitely not what I wanted to do. So I called Sumin. That's exactly what I did. Reached out to him on Instagram, was like, hey man, can I talk to you? And then he called me, and then he heard me, because what I really liked was he didn't jump on, Reza, EXP is the best thing. Come on, join me. You will be successful. He just wanted to know the story before he even advised on joining or not joining. And then we had, after hour of phone call, I think next week, a week later, we had an in-person meeting, and then we talked for another hour, and then that was just good enough for me to know, okay, social media does work. All I needed to know is it worked for one person. If it worked for one person, I can make it work for me. I'm not worried. But if it doesn't work for anyone, well, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. But he showed all the figures, and Sumin showed all the figures and analytics and everything about his YouTube. I was like, okay, it worked for you. it's gonna work for me. I'm sold. Let's join. Let's collaborate. Let's move forward. And that's the story of me joining EXP.
Man, one thing I picked up is there were a lot of good nuggets in there. One thing that I noticed is that you said there's this, when you're new, everything that any broker is telling you sounds good. I remember being new like 7 years ago, and all like I was interviewing at a big box brokerage. I won't say who, but I was like, it's this legacy name. Like, people are going to instantly trust me because they're going to trust this brand. And that brand is more important than my brand. That was the whole like shtick. It was like, no, you're a this agent. Like, people love that. And very quickly, I came to realize, like, actually, no one gives a crap. It's really about building yourself up. You are your brand. And I love that you said, I looked around and I saw people doing it this different way. And I saw the proof of concept for a handful of people and said, look, if they can do it, I can do it too. And what you did was really great too, is you reached out directly to the person that inspired you to maybe take this different path and said, look, I'm going to see if I can pick the brain of the person that is where I want to be. One of the best things that, John Michael says is, if you want to go from point A to point B, get around more people who are at point B, and that will help accelerate your path to that direction. It's exactly what you did. And secondly, you also recognize that real estate, like, I feel like a lot of realtors, when we start, we have this timeline. We have this defined timeline of, I have to be successful by this time. And usually that's a 1 year span. I know mine was kind of 1 year. It sounded like yours was 1 year. And a lot of agents that I've partnered with, coached, their timeline when they get into the business says, well, I'm going to give it my best go for 1 year. And if it works out, hey, awesome. If not, I'm going to walk away from this. And so much of your success during that timeline is dependent on a couple of things. It's mostly how hard you work, but also, you mentioned you were working hard that first year. You're working insane shifts and leaving the year with not a whole lot to show for it. And so it's not always just how hard you work. It's also about what is the work that you're doing that is, what is the hard work that you're doing? And there are better ways, more efficient ways to maximize your time, increasing your exposure and doing more prospecting while working less, actually, which is why that social media is such an allure for a lot of people. So I love that. I also love that you said you weren't afraid to say, hey, I joined a Zillow team. And while that is good for a lot of new people to get some experience, I think experience builds confidence. Our CEO, Leo Pareja, said to one of our good friends and partners, Josh Akeen. Josh was a brand new agent at our conference last year, and he ran into Leo and he asked him, as a new agent, what do you suggest I do? And Leo didn't hesitate. He immediately said, join a team. It's okay to, when you're new, get some experience, get some exposure at a higher split. And then when you're ready, go ahead, branch off, create your own brand, get your own faucet going. Because you're right. You said something incredible. If whatever lead source that I'm relying on someone else to feed me dries up, cuts me out, whatever the scenario is, I'm screwed. I'm back at square one. So not relying solely on the team leads is super, super important. Lots of little nuggets that I took away from your experience there. Another thing is, you kind of skipped over something that I want people to know about you. You came from, like, you're not here, you weren't born here in the US. You came here. Give us some of your background. Like, I want people to know kind of what your situation was and how things are going here. Like, I just think it's such an inspiration.
That could be a whole different podcast, but I'm originally from Iran. I was born and raised in Iran. I was in Iran until I was 16 and a half, 17, and then I moved here. The area I skip is, well, first when I moved here, I moved to California because that's where my sister is. But I was in California only for a couple of years and then moved to Texas. But when you tell people in Texas I moved from California, they assume you're a Californian. I'm not. I'm an Iranian. Uh,
You're like, you know what? The stigma in Texas against Californians is so bad that I'd rather tell them I'm Iranian than tell them I'm from California. That's so funny.
Yeah, but I moved. I have a saying that my wife taught me, which I do 100% agree with. So, anyone asks, just tell them this: I moved to Texas as soon as I could.
There you go. I like it. That's good. That belongs in like a country song if it's not already.
Yeah.
You know, if real estate, I mean, you're crushing it right now, but if real estate doesn't work out, maybe country artists could be up your alley here. So Reza, there was a shift in your business. So you went from brand new agent, doing the old school way, putting in those long hours, then joining the Zillow team. So then you connect with Suman. You hear about how social media can impact your business. Talk to me about that first change. You said that you came over, you joined, and you had an immediate success, right? Things immediately took off for you. Or did they?
It did not. It did not, and this time I also didn't expect it to, because when I talked to Sumin, our conversation was mainly based on, okay, how are we gonna build a brand for me? What's the brand gonna be, and all of that. And I already had gathered a lot of ideas and had taken action the prior 3 years when I was with teams. I wasn't just with teams; I was also like building brands for myself, but not a recognizable brand, right? I was just like taking action here and there just to make me feel good. But when it just became a lot more streamlined when I joined Wolfpack with like Mike Sherrard's teachings and then like private coaching with Sumin a few times. And then I had this idea and I just needed to take action. And that's when Alex Hormozzi's saying came in play. I heard that before I even called Sumin. Probably one of the reasons I even called Sumin, that Alex just says, hey, if you work so much, just work so much that it would be unreasonable not to succeed. And I already had done that. I just didn't succeed at the first brokerage. So I didn't mind doing it again. I don't mind working more than anyone, working 18 hours, not sleeping, damaging myself, I guess. But I don't care as long as the effort equals to the success. So that saying, and then Sumin's, and then it all started clicking in my head. So then I started building Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Well, I burnt myself out because that was just way too much. But I started seeing action, I started seeing people reaching out to me. First, it was just irrelevant questions, hey, this is a true DM I got on Instagram, I think the first month. Reza, I love your post. I love what you're doing with the showing lifestyle of Austin. Do you have any advice for me? I'm planning to move to Austin in 10 years. It's like, 10 years?
In 10 years?
10 years?
Yeah, let me just put that in my calendar to follow up with you.
Yeah. I mean, whatever advice I'm going to go, not going to be applicable in 10 years. It's going to change so much. But then I start seeing results. I do run the biggest Iranian groups on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook. But I didn't want to stop there. I didn't want to stop with one group. So then I started 3 Instagram pages. And then I started YouTube, which I immediately stopped because it was just too much to do long format and short format. So I just kind of wanted to pick my niche. But yeah, I expected it to not be fast. And it wasn't. And I joined EXP and I didn't sell again for 6 months. It was like PTSD, everything happening again. But this time, at least I was building something, The first time when I didn't sell for 6 months, I could just be let go or quit, and then 6 months would restart. But this time, I had the idea, and I just knew that, okay, I am building this. This 6 month I'm going through, not going to happen again. This is the only time this 6 month going to happen.
I think real quick, something you said, it was really important there. You said, I wasn't having immediate success in this first 6 months, and I started having PTSD of that first brokerage, right? And so the difference was, and you said this, I was actually building towards something this time. And good things take time to build. You don't just day one or week one create a brand and all of a sudden things just start popping off for you. That's not how that works. What you're doing is you're putting in intentional time, building a catalog of content that is doing the prospecting for you always in the background. That's the difference. So versus the old time or your first brokerage, those calls are only effective. It's a 1-for-1 output, and that's if they answer. You mentioned I was making 250 calls. How many connections were you getting? Less than half, right? Probably 10%.
Probably, yeah. I mean, conversion, I think when I was there, I don't know the exact number. I made more than 10,000 calls, way more than 10,000. But I sold 7. So the conversion was horrible. I mean,
yeah. So you can do that.
My time was pretty much, if you do it like hour based, I was getting paid probably less than $2 per hour.
Wow. That's great. But that's so important. That's good insight to give, because these 1-to-1 outputs, or 1 for possibility of 1 outputs, are what's killing a lot of people's business, because not everyone is built to make that kind of volume of call and stick out this low conversion game. There's smarter ways, more efficient ways to not burn yourself out with your time, and your reach will continue to reach. I'm sure you have videos right now that are still cranking up leads and views. That's the beautiful part about social media. That's why our group is so focused on that. And this shameless plug here, if anyone wants to learn more about what our group has going on, you've heard, Reza, we're going to get more into this, but Reza made this identifying switch that something needed to change in his business. Social media, creating a brand, those are all things that our training can help you with. If you're interested in just having a casual conversation, there's never any pressure. We just want to see if what we have would benefit you. Please book a call with us. There's going to be a link in the description of this call. We'd love to talk to you. So the switch happens. You're 6 months in. You're starting to build a brand. You mentioned another thing. You said, I run the largest Facebook group, Iranian Facebook group, Telegram, WhatsApp. So those are all like different avenues and different ways of generating leads. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So running Facebook groups for like a specific ethnicity is just like forming a neighborhood. It's just a group of people that have one thing in common for forming a neighborhood. The neighborhood is the common denominator. For this group I made was the nationality of these people were the common denominator. But it works the exact same way, mainly because you have to build trust, and building trust is going to take years. Well, good thing is I had already started the group. I wasn't as active, but I already started the group couple years prior to even joining EXP. I wasn't the biggest one, nowhere near to be the biggest one, but it was there. At least I didn't have to start from scratch. But then I became active. I was answering every question, whether it was real estate related or not. I was helping everyone. I was getting on call with whoever that just moved to Austin. I was answering questions that I can promise you 99% of real estate agents don't want anything to do with it. Like, someone would call me and was like, hey, Reza, we just moved here. Can you help me with lease, all that? And I would help them with leasing. And then for like the next 6 months, every question they had would go through me. Like that's the level of the trust I was building. But mainly, it wasn't as lucrative because I was spending a lot of time on side thing that don't necessarily, what's that called?
Like side hustles?
Not necessarily hustles, but it wasn't income producing action.
Oh, it's just like busy work. Just busy work.
Yeah. But at least it's a small community, just like a neighborhood again. Like our group is 2,000 members. But the way it works is once you build trust, the word of mouth gets around much faster versus if I'm just a real estate agent in Austin and I sell 50 homes a year in Austin, well, there is no word of mouth. Like these people are not necessarily related. One of them gonna live in Manor, one of them gonna be in Georgetown. So it doesn't have anything to do with each other. But I was helping a group of people that they had one common denominator. So when I was helping one person, that would get around to another 10 people. And within 2 years, I went from a ghost who no one knew. I didn't know any Iranian in Austin, even though I am fluent. I speak natively. I have a lot of friends back in Iran. I didn't know anyone throughout the entire years of being in ACC, being in UT, coming back, being in my first brokerage, I didn't know anyone. Moving forward to now, I may when I say I know someone, that means I met them. I probably met more than 500 people, Iranians in Austin. Phone call, texting, DM, probably more than 1,000, and 1,000 is gonna account for more than 20% of them. I'm sure I've talked to 1,000 people. I'm sure there are more than 1,000 people that have heard about me. I just sold one a couple months ago that this person reached out to me saying, hey, we've been following your content for the past 6 months. We love what you're doing. And also this person and that person said you're really good. So we wanted to work with you. 3 different people. This person was referred to me by 3 different people, A, B, C, that A and B and C don't know each other. They're 3 separate individuals. So that started working. But again, it's a small community. So I can't just rely on one thing. As you can tell by now, I have it's very important to me to be independent. That's why I left Zillow team. By the way, when I left the Zillow team leader could not believe that. No one leaves Zillow team. And I just walked in and I was like, hey, man, I'm out. See you.
You can't quit. You're fired.
So I started Instagram. And my Instagram has nothing to do with Farsi. It's fully English. And then I started 3 Instagram pages. So I have a Instagram page that is for Austin lifestyle. I just show the beauty of Austin, and I go over information and education over the caption. I have a home tour page that Josh and I do together. He does his own and I do my own, but we film together. And then I have a brand. Well, I have a third one, which I'm not going to disclose because I don't want anyone to have that associated with me.
No worries.
Then I have a fourth one that is Austin and Suburbs. So now I have austinandsuburbs.com, which the website will hopefully launch very soon. And I have Austin and Suburbs page on Instagram, which is going to go over Austin reports, Austin development news, and all the goodies like that. But again, people are going to hear this and they're going to say, oh my God, this is really good. We're going to go do this. I don't advise anyone do what I did, because then again, I don't care burning myself out multiple times a week, and I thought for the longest time, because my best friend was like this too, I thought everyone's like that until I met my wife. And then I was like, maybe there are some people who are not like that. And then I figured, most people are not like that. So
many people have a hard enough time managing their own Instagram account, right? Just their one personal page or their one business page. You're running 4 on top of these groups, on top of Telegram, on top of WhatsApp. Yes. There's a lot going on. So you are still putting in the work. It's not like you're kicking back, relaxing, and things are just happening. You're still having to be very intentional, cranking out content. And when I say cranking out content, tell people how many videos you post on a daily basis across your platforms.
Yeah, so for the first 1 year of me joining EXP, I was posting everything, editing everything, filming everything. Every single post was a film that I recorded, that I edited, and I wrote the caption. So by end of first year, I think I got very efficient. I got to 25 to 30 a day. But then I was doing so much social media content, I didn't have time to talk to people that want to buy a home. And the whole point of running social media is to get leads, to generate leads and go sell a home. So then it was crazy to me. And then I started hiring VAs. For the first 3 months, I hired VAs. I was bleeding money. I was not making money. I'm going to spoil it. I know you're going to mention it later, but I didn't sell a single home in Q1 of 2026. But I hired my VAs in February. So as I was not selling anything, I decided it's a really good idea to hire someone and pay them.
Let me start throwing money at this thing. If I throw more money at it, it's surely going to take off.
I'm spending time. Let's spend money too. So once I hired 2 VAs to take the workload of 2 of the pages off of me, which by the way, training them for the first 2 weeks took more time than me editing those videos. But once they got it, once it clicked in their head, they became independent. So now we're all the way up to 65 a day, 60 to some days like 50, but average 60 to 65.
50 to 65 videos every single day across your channels.
Hey,
Wow.
don't forget, if you do so much, it would be unreasonable not to succeed.
That's
It has
right.
stuck
That's
with me for
right.
the rest of my life.
I just wanted to make sure that the people listening heard that correctly. Some of us listening are struggling to post one video every single day. Reza has made this system where he is posting 60 on average per day across his platforms. Absolutely incredible, because that's the quote. Work so hard that it would be unreasonable for you to be successful. So Q1, 0 sales, you hire your VAs, you're training them, and then what happened?
And then I obviously had to tweak a lot of things, right? It was my first time running this a scale of social media, or any scale of social media as a business, not like my personal and private page. And so a lot of things I did would take so much time, but it wouldn't end up with results. So as I'm tweaking things, trying to test and trial, figure out what works, what doesn't, a few of the tweaks we're making are start working. So one of the things I was not doing in Iranian groups, in Telegram, in Facebook, in WhatsApp, I was never revealing that I was a real estate agent. I was helping. I was answering every question. I was posting about Austin. I was posting about Austin's development news in Iranian group way before I even started it in Austin and suburbs page on Instagram. But it occurred to me that a big percentage of these people in the group that know me don't know I'm a real estate agent. So the same home tours videos that I posted on Reza Realtor TX, I started posting them on Telegram and just changing the caption from English to Farsi. And then that immediately started getting me results. Like I think within 4 weeks, I got 3 sales from that. It was just immediate. And then from Instagram, as we were like testing and trialing everything, results started coming up. Like we were not doing a newsletter, and then we started doing newsletters, so that had a effect. I was not reaching out to people who were following me. I was just waiting for them to miraculously reach out to me, which never happens. So reaching out to the people who followed me started having an effect. And then once I had the VAs in, that became a lot easier, because now the VA could go back to the older followers and reach out to them too. Because I was doing so much that the most I could do was just like reaching out to the people who followed me today. Like I was not gonna go back to like 6 months ago and say anyone. And there a lot of people, we had this conversation throughout the month, and I was just like leaving money on the table, because like maybe back in November they told me, yeah, we're thinking about moving to Austin in summer. Well, it was just a DM on Instagram, so I'm not going to put it on my CRM. I don't know anything about them. I don't know their email or phone number. So the only thing I could do was just be hopeful that I'm going to remember in summer, which that never happens. So once I got the VA, that became a lot easier, because now VA was going back and vetting all these leads from prior month, from all the way from the start point of all the Instagram pages.
That's great. I think it's important to realize that, one, I think a lot of people have high intention of like creating community. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the way that Facebook groups can run. You mentioned I went for what nationality I am. I think that's such a defining characteristic for a lot of people, that there's instant community, there's instant trust. Like you have something in common. It's like when someone loves your favorite band, don't you feel like, oh, I've got stuff to talk about? Like I don't even know this person, but we can connect on this one thing. And that's where relationships start. So many people have the drive to want to do something like building a community, but you were building the community without anything in place to really position you as the authority figure within the real estate space. And that shift that you made of, we have a term for that, which is secret agent, right? It's people see me, but they don't know that I'm a realtor. That's kind of the secret agent's playbook. There is I don't know how or how to get in front of these people. So therefore I'm just not going to do anything. And then you made the shift. You hire the VAs, you start posting your videos with you in front of real estate, and all of a sudden you start getting leads from it like magic within the span of a month. That's what the shift is. So many people are probably listening to this and going, you know what? I could start a blank Facebook group, or insert whatever they recognize themselves to be that they could build community around. One thing that you and John do so well, John Michael, one of our partners here, in his Facebook group training, there's even a thing where within the Facebook group, you can add yourself a little icon or like a title, group expert in real estate. And so every time you're posting or you're commenting or whatever, people are getting a little advertisement for you that you're the authority figure within the space. So I love that you guys have made this shift to where, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to stir up these conversations. I'm going to get their emails up front and create a newsletter. That's what John does with his dad's group. Is anyone that joins, there's a question, you can create a questionnaire with the group rules and say, if you would like to sign up for the dad's group newsletter, put your email here. And as you mentioned, I can't follow up with people or put them in my CRM if I don't have what? Their contact information. So this system is in place where you're gathering information, you're building credibility within the group. You mentioned that person said that I've been watching your content for 6 months. You never know who is watching. You never know who is being that fly on the wall, waiting for that time to be right for them. And if you're sitting there going, hey, this just isn't working for me, I'm just going to give up on it, then what do you think they're going to, like, when that time is right for that person, they're going to go find someone else who appears more active. So many good nuggets in there, man. Tell me about the group a little bit more. Are you building community around events? Like, are you doing events? How do you keep your community engaged? How is it growing organically? Are you doing paid ads? All of the above.
So it's a lot more complicated or difficult, or I guess more simple, because there's not much you can do with the Telegram and the WhatsApp. You can't run ads. But what I did, there were already, like, we are at the point in this podcast that we're talking about the success stories. But again, like, I wanted this podcast to specifically be as real as possible, because when I was going through all these things, I couldn't find any videos about anyone talking to keeping it real. Everyone was either extremely successful with real estate or just everything went wrong and they quit. But as I'm building, like, it wasn't like magically I made the group and I started getting leads. But when I'm making this group, obviously I'm getting a lot of hate, because there are already 3 other groups and they were pissed at me why I'm dividing the attention of already a small group within a city into another group. But who cares? If you want to listen to all the haters, you just gotta sit down and listen to them all day. There's no.
And if you're letting other people dictate your authority within like, no one owns the intellectual property or the rights to a group of people or anything of that nature.
Funny thing, all of their groups private. So if assume you're an Iranian, you just moved to Austin from anywhere, doesn't matter, and you want to join a community. Well, all these groups are private. You can't join unless you have a referral from inside. Well, if you don't know anyone, just like me, who didn't know anyone for the first 4 years, you can't join. You just don't know anyone. You don't even know these groups exist in the first place to wanting to join. So I made my group. I started getting a tremendous amount of hate, and I made them a proposal. I was like, hey, make your groups public and I'll remove mine. I knew that they're not going to do that. So that went just as expected, and I made my group. But there's not a lot you can do. So all these groups, because they're private, their names are just unique. It's not a generic. It's not like Iranian of Austin group. They all have like abbreviations, AIP, or that's just a random. That's not the actual abbreviation. So I made my group with the name Iranian of Austin across all platforms. So I think that helped with the SEO a lot. So if you go to Telegram, if you go to the search box and you search Iranian of Austin, I'm the first one who's going to pop up. As a matter of fact, I'm the only one who's going to pop up because they're private. I'm public. So that helped with growing me a lot. But for the first couple months, I was inviting everyone I knew, calling everyone, to invite everyone they knew. And again, these activities are not income producing. I'm spending a lot of time for something that I believe in that's gonna work 2 years down the road. So if you always want to like focus on income producing activities, well, social media may not be your thing. Social media is really the long game. It's not going to work as fast. I mean, maybe it would have worked really fast if you were an agent in 21 COVID and you were posting videos, sure. But right now it's not gonna. The fastest thing that's gonna work is the phone calls. And if you're not good at phone calls, like I wasn't, and not passionate about phone calls, that I wasn't, then you just kind of have to either farm a neighborhood or make a group and farm that group. But overall, like I can't go into every single details because there has been a lot of nuances, and I have to do a lot of things to try to figure out because it was never done before. But with the community, I've done a few first time homebuyer seminars that every time I do it, 30 to 35 people show up in person. But other than that, I haven't. I know John Michael does that festival. That's great. I wish I could have done that. But he's just a lot better than running a community than I am, and his community is a lot.
Come on now,
bigger.
give yourself some credit, brother. Come on.
And his community is a lot bigger than mine. Shout out to John Michael. A lot of these tweaks I made on Telegram to establish myself as a real estate agent came after a one-on-one with John Michael. So
I'm gonna have to edit this part out, otherwise his ego's. I'm gonna feel an explosion and it's his ego blowing up.
But yeah, and then Instagram was a hustle too. Like I keep going back to the 6 month number, but I promise every time it took 6 months. Instagram, I didn't sell anything until 6 months, and then Q2 came. But not all my leads come from the same source. So in Q2, from April to end of June, I put 12 homes under contract. And the 12 homes, dude. Three of them came from Telegram, the community. 4 of them came from Instagram, but 2 of them came from one page, one came from another page, and one came from another page. How many is that? 4, 3, 7. 3 of them were referrals of my old clients. Again, like one thing I do, I have never sold a single home that I lost touch with my client. Never happens. I call them every 3 to 6 months. If I don't call them, they text me, "Are you okay? Are you alive?" But never. So that's why I get a lot of referrals from them. Not a lot by my standard. I haven't sold 500 homes to be just solely relying on referrals. And 2 of them came from other real estate agents from different states that their client was moving to Austin. But again, these things don't happen miraculously. I just go back to this. They don't happen miraculously. I added whoever I could find, Iranian real estate agent across all of US and Canada, and I added them as a friend on Facebook 3 years ago when I just started. So but I didn't know them, they didn't know me. It's just Facebook. You have a lot of friends. That's cool. I think I added like 600, 700 of them. But when I started posting those home tours, the infamous "Let's Go Inside."
I love dude. Every time I see it, I'm like, let's go. That's the trademark right there.
I synced them with my Facebook so everyone could see it on Facebook. So this guy from Arizona calls me up and says, "Hey, Reza, I'm like, here's my name. I'm a real estate agent in Arizona. And my clients are going to move to Austin. And as soon as they said Austin, I thought of you because I see your video every single day, goddammit. I was like, yes, man. What do you want? Let's do it. And the same thing happened with another agent in Seattle. But it's not like miraculous, not another agent in Seattle didn't just call me because I'm me. Like, I've done something 3 years ago that now I'm seeing the results. And I keep going back to this. Like, that's the game with social media. Like, I think Sumin said this, like, don't be building the dam, storing massive amount of water and then just leave. So that's what I didn't want to do. Like, I built all these throughout the years. I could have just left at the end of Q1 and I would have never had this 12 that I had. I think it would be very fair for me to leave at the end of Q1, because I had another 6 months that I didn't sell anything, and I had it the first 6 months. I mean, until the beginning of Q2, I'd never considered myself a successful real estate agent, because I've never sold more than like 2-3 homes at a time. But all these just had a small effect, and then it just blew up. But it didn't end with Q2. Q3, which has started 10 days ago. I should be able to like get another 3 under contract in the next 2 weeks, and I have a listing, and I'm gonna have 3 more land listing in the next couple of weeks. So it's not gonna end there. I know for a fact it's not gonna be as great forever every quarters. But as I continue to build, it's not going to dry up. And I never have to think about what would happen if Zillow just cut us out.
Yeah, I think one, good things take time to build. You know, like we've alluded to it a lot throughout this podcast, is the lead machine that you've created. You've busted your ass to build it. 2, you've consistently built it. It's not like I started this 2 weeks ago and all of a sudden it just like started pouring money on it. Everyone would be doing that if that's all it took.
Yeah.
And then also there's a quote that sticks out to me: the harder I work, the luckier I get. I saw that and I was like, man, it's so true. It's across life and everything, is just there's some people who will look at you and go, man, like go from 0 to 12 in the span of 1 quarter must be nice. Must be, he just got lucky. Or no, like Reza's been busting his ass for the last like 3 years, building something, tweaking, hiring out, doing all the things that the average person, and if the stats are any indication, the average realtor is unwilling to do. And so that's why this is separation season. The people in this kind of market that's quote, down, I would say is a fair assessment of where we're at. In a down market, you have to be doing the work that's going to separate you and gain market share as things get better. There's a lot of people that are, and I'm sure you might have found yourself there Q1 of this year, where you're teetering going, man, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I don't know if this is the career path for me. I think that's a very fair thing for a lot of people to be asking themselves, because if I just to speak, frankly, shit's hard right now for a lot of people, and especially a lot of starting agents. Is I always draw to, John Michael, we've mentioned him a few times now. I was his first client 6 months into his career in a market where interest rates were lower and the average, the median home price was half of what it is today in the Austin area. And even in that market, it took 6 months of work to get his first solid lead. And so now that things have gone a little wonky, to put it lightly, the average agent is going to have to do this unreasonable amount of work if you just have to have proper expectations. The input needs to match the output. If you're not doing anything, don't be mad that your business and your pipeline is dried up. But if you're doing a ton of work, intentional work with a strategy, like you did, you shifted because you were doing the work beforehand. Now you shifted to a different means, built this incredible pipeline. Now, like you mentioned, you don't have to worry about where the next lead is going to come from. Am I going to have a closing this month? Am I going to have a new connection with somebody? You have built the system to provide for yourself, man. I just want to give you your flowers for that, because I think it's incredible.
Thank you.
What would you? We're here at the about 54-minute mark, so I want to kind of wrap this up with, be as honest as you can. If what would you tell someone right now getting into the business, or someone who's looking to scale? Maybe they resonate with something that you said. Maybe just like an overall lesson, or either words of encouragement isn't really what I'm looking for. It's more of just like the hard truth that someone needs to hear right now.
For new agents?
Let's say new agents, or people that are like, man, I'm frustrated. I'm stuck in this rut, and and like I have the drive to do the work. I just don't know what to do, or what I'm doing isn't working.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you said be as honest as you can. Well, I always say once the day I die, if there's one thing I'm going to be remembered by is brutal honesty. So sorry if whatever I say is not going to be in favor or be as likable as some people might hope. But I want to I want to be the person who will tell the truth or be honest with you whenever you call. So if you just want words of encouragement, probably don't call me. But for newer agents, like it's tough, right? And when I say it's tough, this is the only market I've ever known. I am a real estate agent that became an agent when interest rates were already 6.6%. So anything less than, like, if I think January was 5.9, that was the only time that I've been a real estate agent and the rates were less than 6%. And that was like, what, 1 week.
And also on the back of the Austin market that was so inflated, the number one most inflated market in the entire country. And so Q1 of 2022 rates hit 8%, and we're at the peak of our unaffordability. So absolutely not a normal market, quote unquote, by any means.
And in every article you read, Austin is like top 10 worst market. The metrics are different and subjective, but like it's not a sexy market to be in right now. Again, I just keep going back to what Alex Hormozi said and what Sumin said. I think these two people just put it the best way. Regardless of what you do, so we talked the majority of this podcast about social media and what to do and how social media work and how great it is. Well, granted, 99% of the agents do it wrong and it doesn't work for them, and they're going to complain that, we post every day and we never got clients. But then social media works, but does everything else works too? Like I know people that door knock and are successful. I know people that cold call and successful. I know people that send mailers and are successful, run Facebook groups and are successful. That's the one thing I love about Wolfpack. Because when I was in the first brokerage, all they said, cold call is the only way you can do it. Nothing else works. And then the second brokerage, Zillow Leads is the only way to go. Nothing else works. And then you join Wolfpack and they say, no, everything works. There's an expert in everything. You want YouTube? Follow Sumin and Mike Sherrard. You want Facebook groups? There is John Michael. If you want to run podcasts, here's Jordan Brown. If you want to do this, so Instagram, hopefully they say me or someone else.
After this, they absolutely will, man.
Anything works. But are you passionate enough about that one thing you want to do to just stick it out and ride the waves as long as possible until you reach the beach?
It's good, man. I mean, I totally agree. I think too many people, when I think to another thing that we mentioned early on, is this timeline of I'm going to give myself a year to make this successful. You better make that year the hardest working year you've ever put in if you truly want to make this work. And I think some people will hear that and they'll be like encouraged by it. And then others are going to be discouraged, where it's like, if you truly want this thing to work, if you truly want real estate to be the thing that you call a career, it's one of the most entrepreneurial ventures you will ever start, truly. And no business is going to just take off and replace a six-figure salary by half-assing your effort, not being consistent, and all of the above. You have to do the work. You have to do it consistently, and you almost have to do it a delusional amount. And I think in this market, it's more important than ever that you truly give it your best foot forward. You have to really put the effort in, because it's a different market. You mentioned earlier about Sumin. Like Sumin, if I'm trying to recreate Sumin's success today, and I think it would be fair for him to say, if I was starting today, it may look a little bit different. I have no doubt that Sumin would still be successful. He's a master marketer, really good with his brand. But this market in 2026 is a lot different than the market that he started in of 2020 to 2022. So the amount of effort may have to increase for anyone who's looking at these methods. And I just love that you're honest about it. I love that you said, hey, I wasn't overnight success. it took time to build this thing up, and you're now reaping the benefits for it, man. Unfortunately, Reza had some camera issues there at the end, but we're here at the hour mark anyway. Look, I wanted to just drive it home. One, it's never been more important to buckle in, do the work, and do it so consistently and in such a volume that it would be unreasonable for you to not be successful. Reza embodies this. He's been through a lot of different variations of what real estate success can look like. He did cold calling for 12-hour shifts a day. He did a Zillow team where he's relying on someone else to fill his bucket up with leads. And now he took it upon himself. He tried something, a completely different path than what most people are doing right now. And I think it identifies, hopefully for you as the listener, an opportunity for you to start something and build your own lead engine. If you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to give it the time, and you want the tools to help be around people that have done it and can maybe cut down that time from point A to point B where you want to be, again, book a call with us. Happy to connect with myself or Reza or both of us. There's going to be a link in the bio for a completely confidential, no pressure call. We just want to see if what we have is of any benefit to you. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, if you got anything from it, give us a like or rate us 5 stars. It's a free, easy way to support the podcast. Keep us going. Tells me that you're enjoying the content. Share it with a realtor friend who may benefit from this. Thank you guys so very much. It's so great to be back. I'm excited to really kick this off and get back into the podcasting world of real estate. I think it's needed more than ever to hear people that are succeeding in the right here and now, and not just people who started, building their business 10 years ago. It's a completely different market. It requires a completely different, in my opinion, skill set and tool set. And you're going to hear it here on the Realtor Success Podcast. I'm Jordan Brown at Jordan Sells ATX. You can find Reza at let me make sure I get his Instagram correct here. It is the Reza Rostamnejad. So also at Reza Realtor TX. So please give Reza a follow. Let him know that you heard it here on his interview here on the Realtor Success Podcast. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.